for my 6.1 for the complex problem, I decided to focus on uh, a case of like a loss of enthusiasm or motivation. And having talked about it with Dale, um, we sort of concluded the best way to approach it would be from the angle of progress. So, in essence, the key thing is that obviously with good progress comes a good level of enthusiasm, good motivation. When things are flowing, people are going to be more inspired to generate more work, or there's going to be more output. Obviously, on the flip side, if progress is stagnant, naturally people generally tend to lose enthusiasm. Uh, so obviously, not much gets done. We fall behind. Deadlines get missed. Um, and so that's what I want to focus on with this. So obviously, in terms of why does why do we lose enthusiasm? Why do we lose motivation? Like I mentioned, lack of progress. When not much gets done, we tend to, we tend to not get ourselves in gear to get work completed. Um, yeah, it's sort of a bit of a cycle, as it were. And the goal, obviously, is to try and break that. Getting getting work done to help sort of boost progress, which then in turn keeps us motivated to keep on progressing. Um, in terms of the approaches to address, actually, before I go ahead, we'll stick to this first point. The why does this happen? So obviously, I've gone with the idea that we just lack, like, we're not making much progress, and that's why we sort of don't have much enthusiasm or motivation. But at this point, I'll open it to you guys as well. Like, from your perspective, like, why is it that we don't seem to like lacking motivation? Like, why does that happen? Like, in your opinion, like, what would you say?
I have one. If sorry, um, one could be maybe the amount of work we have, especially since we're still in uni. Like it feels a little bit overwhelming. And we get overstimulated and just can't focus on it.
Yeah, so there's an overstimulation, oversaturation of
Yeah.
workload.
Another thing is if you're the only person working on it, or like act like how do I put this politely? Like, say I'm doing my level design and I haven't heard much from you guys about what you guys been doing on the project, and I don't see much progress happening. It makes me feel like shit. Feel it makes me feel a bit bad and like loss of enthusiasm because it feels like I'm more engaged with the project.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So yeah, so it's like when people aren't
Yeah.
like when you're doing your work, but you see other people aren't pulling their weight, you sort of just don't you sort of lose that drive to keep going
Yeah,
effectively.
and for me personally, I work better with people and when people are working on the same thing as me. So when I see other people work on the project, it makes me more engaged with the project. Whereas if I'm the only one engaging it by myself, then I kind of drop off a bit. That's a me thing, though. I don't know how everyone else goes, but that's a me thing. I just work better in an environment when I see other people doing work,
Yeah,
and I'm more
like a contagious
motivated.
sort of
Yeah,
um, a contagious sort of
work ethic.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else got any ideas?
I put mine in the Discord chat.
Difference in priorities. Like maybe team member has external commitments, take a high priority. Yeah, okay. Let me copy and paste that real quick so I don't forget. Um, dun, dun, dun.
I was gonna say something similar in the terms of personal things could arise. That just
Like other external commitments that.
yeah, like more like like family member issues or like family drama or something like that could affect your own. mental health, and like your own productivity could also drop from your own mental health.
Yeah, yep. Lack of support is one. Yeah, okay. So, like team members not feeling overly supported on the project.
Another one could be like if you're not happy with what the work you've been doing, you kind of lose interest in that. So like you're doing the work, you're getting through stuff, and you're just not happy with how it's turning out and the outcome of it. So you kind of feel bad about that and just kind of
Yeah, so it's like
lose your motivation.
yeah, so like a lack of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Team
So
members.
like boredom as well.
Team.
Another one could be because I know a lot of us like instructions and stuff. Another one could be lack of guidance.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
you don't know what you're like should be working on, so you kind of just
I think that goes under lack of support as well.
yeah, probably yeah.
Move
I'd
these.
probably combine those two.
So if we
Yeah.
add
Yeah.
some sort of
Just to give my input, a potential cause could also be like having a poor like work-life balance, which goes both ways because if you have too much life balance and not enough work balance, then that leads to you being stressed about work, which then the stress affects how you work, which can lead to burnout. And obviously, the other extreme is having too much work and not enough life balance, which it's just the key recipe to having burnout. So just not having that balance and focusing on either extreme can create issues.
yeah, okay. So that can also tie into some of these other ones as well. So like external commitments, but again, like not sort of being able to balance external and internal workloads, as it were. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Creative blocks, yeah, there you go. So just hitting a wall.
I've also got another one, because of what Izzy said yesterday in my ideation session.
Ooh,
Um, I mean, this could relate to Chris as well as he joins. Um,
Sorry, what was that?
lack. I'm just explaining something. Sorry. Lack
Uh,
of like expertise on the subject. Like Izzy explained yesterday, how when we went into a meeting talking about design
yeah,
stuff, she had no idea what we were talking about or how to go about it. So maybe just a lack of the like lack of information, I guess,
yeah.
would also cause this.
Just not like knowing
Yeah.
effectively, not having the expertise.
okay, I think I might have maybe a couple of suggestions just
Yeah,
from
okay.
like reading over the mirror board. So, okay, well, let me start. Like, let me just clarify. Oversaturation of work. Like, do we want to, like, could you just fill me in on that one? Like,
So basically, like if like a team member or multiple team members have like too much on their plate, like can be like overwhelming.
yep.
Maybe I should have worded that a bit better. Like I think actually Nick might have said that. Like just like being overwhelmed with the amount of work that you've got, so that can
I could go
ultimately,
into a little more detail if
yeah,
you like. So like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
mine was more focused on the overstimulation of the work rather than the oversaturation of the work, Jack, just to clarify.
yeah. I'll just
Um,
reword this one.
yeah. Because I know like when I have a list of all the tasks I need to do, and if it's not much, I still get fairly overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
And that kind of just puts me at a roadblock, and I kind of start procrastinating a lot. Um, and I will be honest here, I've done that a lot this year. um,
I I will like add on to that, and I will say like it's kind of happened to me a little bit this year because you guys know the new project I'm working on, right? The
yeah,
Speakeasy raid thing.
yeah,
I will send just a screenshot of my asset list, just to give you guys an example, because I think it's both a combination of like people getting a bit more like nervous and having a bit more stress with seeing the amount of work that we have to do. But I think it's also the stress that we won't be able to fit the deadline. That's the big thing as well. I would be willing to bet that a lot of the loss of enthusiasm, sorry, and motivation is the fact that people look at our roadmap for the year and they might think, this isn't really obtainable. This isn't really being too realistic. This is being too optimistic. This is being too pessimistic. People might look at that and think in their heads, like, is this even worth continuing to work on if we can't, like, set really realistic goals? And think to ourselves, like considering all of our skill sets, right? Because we all have like very drastic skill sets, but also just kind of like the saturation of our team is like majority designer. Like we have 2 artists, we have 1 programmer, we have 4 designers. The fact of the matter is that as a team, it's not that it's out of whack or out of balance, but we are at a point where we all kind of need to be multifaceted in different forms of skill in order to obtain that form of more motivation, because people feel as if they got to take on extra workload because they can't really rely on other team members to work on it, if that makes sense.
So we could word that as like poor balance of um, like team resource probably isn't right, but like a poor an imbalance of like roles.
Skill set
Or
Yeah.
yeah,
as
skill set.
well.
There we go. Yeah, like a skill set imbalance. Yeah.
Not that like obviously being having different skill sets, like I said, is a very great thing, because if we were all designers, this or like all programmers, this would be very, very challenging to get into. But I think it's just that like as a whole, we all need to be able to kind of like look at the current issues at hand and think to ourselves, maybe let's say as an example, let's say Jack and Stacy, right? They start learning Blender as an example, right? That helps out the art department. Maybe myself and Izzy start learning programming to kind of help assist Noah. The fact of the matter is that if we all feel as if we have too much pressure on our own shoulders because we don't have enough of that skill set balance between this entire team, we're all going to feel as if like that motivation starts to go down and down and down because it feels like you're just carrying the whole weight of the world on your shoulders.
So what I was going to do is I've got the SMART goals that I had on my 6.1 document. What I was thinking, maybe as we think of ways to address this issue, we can like come up with solutions, but actually tie them back to these points that we've listed here. So to the left of the why does this happen, the SMART goals that I've listed. So the 4 that I came up with were implementing agile / holding sprints, feedback sessions. So obviously having sort of meetings that are specifically just for feedback.
Mm-hmm.
A success chart, as it were, like with rewards, like that's something they did in primary school, because why the hell not? And personal development time. So having time dedicated to just not even really thinking about the project so much, but just developing some new skills,
Mm-hmm.
which I think in a lot of companies is often a sort of core component to retaining employee engagement, as it were. So, in terms of connecting what I've got here, for example, implementing agile and holding sprints, so that might help with, say, the issue of being overwhelmed with the amount of work. Excuse me. Might be good for like if team members lack satisfaction with their own work, having more reasonable goals that they can really uh, they've got much clearer objectives as to what they want to achieve. It might also help be supportive, guiding, as it were.
You could also make an argument for people who are doing work see others who aren't doing their work for holding sprints.
Yeah, so basically, it's like when you give these people these manageable tasks, so then everyone has stuff to work on, but it also allows people to be held accountable,
Mm-hmm.
as it were. So yeah, so like if you see someone not doing their work, it's like, oh, okay, why is that happening? But yeah, the idea with like these sprints is that they're sort of smaller, more manageable. So it's like, yeah, people would be more likely to undertake their work. In terms of feedback sessions, so again, that could be that could be tied into lack of supports, also creative blocks, um, you know, lacking satisfaction. So maybe the feedback, it gives people a bit of a boost, or it gives people a better idea of what they're maybe doing wrong, um, how they can do better. Maybe also helping with a lack of understanding, perhaps. Um, that can obviously uh, have obviously feedback can obviously help there. Some sort of like way of tracking success, so then having some sort of like reward system, so then people have something to aspire to within a short time frame. So it might be like a weekly thing, monthly. I think on my in the document, I think I had like like per week and then like per month having a certain number of tasks being completed, and then getting like a gold star or something, because who knows. So I mean, yeah, that sort of thing.
That gold star should be a free coffee.
There you go.
You get 10 gold stars, you get a day off. No, I'm just kidding.
So
No.
yeah, so that's maybe it doesn't connect. It's admittedly this one was like the weakest. Like it was sort of like, oh yeah, what can I have as a smart goal? So this might link to the second goal. So it's like people start to want to do their work, or like they're driven to just keep doing their work. And then in terms of personal development time, I mean, this obviously ties into these last two. So skill set imbalance, lack of understanding. So you obviously you take the time to actually learn some skills. Again, lack of support and guidance, that could be a part of it as well.
Mhm.
Maybe you could tie that into work-life balance. Like if you sort of schedule your PD correctly, it's like you can have you can sort of better balance when you're actually working, when you're sort of learning, that sort of thing. Um, so those are my four sort of SMART goals, four approaches to tackle this issue. Obviously, now this is where I open it up to you um, to give your thoughts. So those are the four I've listed there. But by all means, if you've got any approaches that you think would be great at tackling the issue, then yeah,
Mm.
sticking to a schedule, yeah, that's a good one. I suppose as well, if you guys have any opinions on the four that I listed, like, are there any that you think are going to be actually worthwhile? Or that do any of them seem like they're not overly ideal? Like maybe they're not worth pursuing, as it were.
I'm a bit iffy about the reward system.
Like it might not be as effective, or it
Yeah, because I've tried that with like outside, like with a D&D group to get them more engaged, and it wasn't working as well. And
doesn't always
because that's
incentivize them.
mainly online, it wasn't like a tangible thing they could like physically have.
Yeah. Okay.
Like so, for it's more like concerning for people online as well. Like if it's not a physical object or something, or
Yeah, like if it's sort of if there's a, and obviously maybe not intentional, but like an accidental bias towards like being on location, as it were.
yeah, yeah.
Any other thoughts on the other sort of SMART goals?
Mm. I'm just reading through them again. Give me 2 seconds.
We wrote even distribution of tasks.
I wrote that one.
Yeah, I was just adding on to that, Chris, to break
Mhm.
down those tasks to even smaller tasks. Like once
Yeah.
we distributed them or something, we could maybe break them a little down, break them down a little bit more, and then maybe divide those up. Because I know yesterday we discussed about working with people more and doing like working on the same project and like working on the same document. Maybe breaking those things into smaller tasks and then divvying it out between those two people, or just breaking it down a lot more, just so it's like not overwhelming, and then setting goals for each day. Like, hey, I want to complete this for the day. I want to get this done for the day, and I want to get this done for the day. But not making it like a hard set goal. So I've learned by me working at home, if I have a list of small tasks I want to complete, and then extra tasks like stretch goals for the day, pretty much, I get a lot more done. That's like, and it keeps me going and it keeps me in a nice rhythm and keeps me motivated. But that's a me thing. I don't know about anyone else.
So in a way, so that kind of ties into the idea of having like sprints. So because I was talking about it with the day element, it's like the idea that it's like as opposed to sort of setting these larger goals, what you do, you sort of like you break them down. So instead of like having a like a giant goal and then meeting only like say 30% of it, what you end up doing is you set a goal that's like say half the size, but you meet 80% of it. So then it's
Yeah.
like you've done more, you've accomplished more, you feel better.
And it provides more confidence in your ability to do the work,
Yeah.
which also creates more motivation
In,
for me at least. I'm
in
not, again, not sure about you guys, but it will, like getting more done makes me feel a lot more confident, which lets me keep being motivated and keep getting me through the work.
which ties into this point here of the satisfaction one.
Yeah, exactly. These are just um, things I've slowly implemented in the past like 2 months that I've realized works a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
Um, Especially if I'm working at home, because I'm typically used to the work environment. So working at home, I find it a lot more difficult. Another thing, also, I just thought for why does it happen? If you're online, you have no social interaction with the team.
Yeah, it's just sort of relying on whenever you're in like
Yeah,
an,
you have
a
no
call,
physical interaction with the team, so maybe just the lack of
lack
environment, I guess.
Mhm.
environment. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I just thought of that now as I was.
No, it's good to add. It's a good point to add. It's I mean I know for everyone that's not on campus, yeah, I imagine that's probably
Yeah.
quite difficult in terms of feedback sessions and personal. Professional development time, I should say. What do we think about those two um, as potential approaches to address the issue? I could always go into a bit more detail because I've just listed what the actual the specific part of the smart goal, but obviously I've got the other aspects here if that helps clarify it for people.
Can you clarify what you mean by feedback sessions exactly?
So basically, so in terms of what they are, like think of them as like meetings where it's like we all sort of get together and we like provide feedback on different work. So it's like, you know, like we each present like a few different bits of work that we've been doing, and everyone gives some feedback. So it's like, oh, that looks good, or hey, maybe you could consider doing it like this. So it's meant to be, as I've listed here, like important for members to provide constructive criticism or praise, for that matter, for work. So yeah, basically, idea being that we sort of share what we've been working on, and then people offer their thoughts and yeah, basically just what could be done better
Um,
or what's going well.
I think expanding on that, maybe we could have like days where we're all in a call and we're all just working on the one thing together and just spitballing ideas, brainstorming. You remember the idea when last year when me, you, and Aiden were sitting at the whiteboard and just spitballing ideas.
Yeah, I think we had a few of those, didn't we?
Yeah, we did that a lot, and that also like got us thinking. It got us interacting with each other,
Yeah,
and just like it just got us talking about it, and it kept us motivated. And then like ideas, and then more ideas came in, and then we'd share those with the rest of the team, and then they would have their input as well, and then it just kept growing, like keep us motivated.
so they could be for both. Like obviously what I mentioned before in terms of like feedback for what has actually been done, but then in terms of like uh, feedback on ideas that could be done
Yeah,
type thing. So it's both a sort of before and after
yeah,
type thing.
and just like an iteration process as well,
Yeah, yeah,
with the team, and just having constant communication. I think like because this whole year we've sat in a Teams call
mm,
throughout the day and just said nothing to each other,
yeah.
which I'm not a big fan of. I feel like getting into a Discord call and just talking about stuff and then just talking about what we're writing. It also gets my mind thinking a lot more when I'm verbally speaking what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like when I'm explaining, this could happen, and then when someone's just listening, doing like with Chris, if Chris is in a call doing modeling for it, and I'm just writing documentation, he chimes in every now and again,
Mm.
and gives me ideas, and then I give him ideas, and then we start just bouncing off each other from like the art side of things and level design things, and how things would work and look. We've done that for the past 2 years together, so
Um,
it's just experience I've had.
yeah, groovy. Anyone else got any
I don't know
thoughts?
how Chris feels about that, but
I mean, I'm pretty chill with it. I don't really.
me kind of just like explaining how it felt when we were in calls.
Yeah.
I don't know
No,
how it felt
I
to
don't
you.
know. I don't know. It's like pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I suppose lastly, what do people think about professional development time? Like in the in my document, I said 3 to 5 hours per week dedicated to just time towards professional development. So I said here in the form of like online courses or video series, like on YouTube or whatever. Obviously, it could take any other forms as well. Like it's not just um, anything that's online. It might be reading a book. It might be I don't know something that involves being away from the computer. Um, maybe it's like I don't know. You go and you learn how to give speeches or something. So when you're on like a panel or something, you're
I mean,
more comfortable. But yeah, so
I like it.
Mhm.
It, like I've been doing like running D&D sessions for a bit, and that kind of helps with my narrative and like design, level design uh, abilities. And I do that like once I get into it, I can spend hours just writing D&D stuff.
yeah, yep,
Uh, but that's what I usually do on my own time, and that's kind of more personal development rather than
mm,
professional. But like I do plan on doing a little more work, PD, professional development. So
so
I'm kind of chill with that.
yeah, okay. Um, obviously it's a bit hard to sort of know now because this would obviously be more of a thing that we would know when we're actually doing it. But like in terms of actually feeling invested, because I wrote here like the relevance of it important for team members to expand their learning and to feel invested in. So the idea behind that is like if people are allowed the time to go and develop themselves in another way. So like for example like learning Blender or learning programming or whatever it might be. Um, being told, oh yes, you go and spend that 1 hour today to do a bit of learning on that. Like, um, you know, obviously, like I said, it's a bit hard to know now because we haven't really implemented it. But like, how would people feel if they had that sort of opportunity? Like, would you feel more invested? Would it feel more like a burden? Like you have to do it, or how would people sort of feel about it? I see a thumbs up from Stacy.
I'll let other people go real quick because
Mm.
I've spoken a lot, but I do have something to say.
I mean, if you wanna go first,
I've been going first a lot, so I kind of just want other people to get their opinions in before I
no,
say
it's
anything.
understandable.
I'll probably say what most people are probably gonna say. PD time. I'll be more motivated for that if I'm doing it with someone. Like if I'm doing like a course of like visual scripting or level design. I work better with people working with me.
So like
Yep.
a collaborative professional
Yeah,
development.
yeah, or maybe like one of those workshops.
Yeah, yeah.
We did. Maybe we could introduce like maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks we could have like a workshop.
Hmm.
Um, just to like um, especially for the artists to know our design process would be very helpful, especially with level design and
Yeah.
narrative design, just to explain these processes a bit more and expanding their skill set. And then maybe Chris could run one on how to use Blender or something. And just doing like a basic workshop and activity with the team would be beneficial.
Mm.
'Cause again, me personally, I like working with people.
Hmm.
I don't like sitting on my own doing my own work. I like being in the environment. I like talking to people.
You got any thoughts, Monty?
Well, I kind of like I agree with what Nick said about working better with multiple people. Though it's for the opposite reason. It's that when I work on my own, I then have the tendency to get distracted by other things. So working with other people helps me sort of stay focused on what I'm supposed to be working on. I mean, I
It's
do like to be in control of how I work and the pace at which I work, but as I just said, it does tend to lead me to, like, my mind tends to wander, and then I end up getting sidetracked with something else.
I'm kind of the inverse of you guys in a way. Like I agree in that like sitting down, having a full blown like day or like a couple of hours to commit to just having like a collaborative development session. I usually work better when I'm usually just like on my own in a way. Like it's weird. Like take it like me being in this call, right? Like I'm not actively doing anything in Blender at the moment because I always get kind of distracted in a way when I'm like having two things going at once. So it's like not that it's a bad thing. Like I would happily sit down with you guys and like teach you guys a bit about Blender and stuff. It's just like for me, getting work done usually involves me just sitting at my desk, just with some music in, and just like sitting down and committing mostly.
but it's interesting, uh, Monty and Chris. Like the points that you both made there. Actually, keep them in mind because I think when it comes to advantages and limitations, that's actually like they're both great examples of like advantages or limitations of that potential system.
Hmm.
Um, so we'll put a pin in those. Um, but yeah, any ideas for more approaches? Okay, we've got quite a few points here,
Um,
so I think we've done quite well.
well, do we just want to keep looking at the SMART goals to implement our approaches, or do we want to keep looking at the notepads as well, like the sticky
Um,
notes?
I mean, whichever approach you want to take, like whether you want to base them off the smart goals or whether you've got some that like if you've got some approaches that you think can address the like why does this happen points, then yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I have an idea.
When you say let people know ahead of time of a closing deadline, Chris, when you say that, when you say closing deadline, is that like during the sprint, or is it like during the sprint, or is it like in the sort of approach to
Well,
the end of a period of time?
well, yeah. What I mean is like, okay. Let's say, as an example, let's take today, right? The 2nd of December. Let's say we wanted to get a couple of blockouts done by like next week, right?
Yep.
If we wanted to let people know, like, let's say on Monday, so yesterday, right? That hey, we got a deadline coming. The deadline is the 9th of December. We'll try and commit to a sprint tomorrow or on Wednesday, and we'll try and actually really push for this to be done. Don't like spring it last minute and be like, hey, we like let's say if I said it on the 5th, right? It's like, hey, we have to get this done by the 9th. Like it's kind of hard for people to go, oh crap, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and people will feel more so like they're putting up like being put pressure upon
Yeah. Yep.
to get it done, and that can lead to sloppy work. So if we let people know ahead of time that hey, this deadline is closing in, let's figure out what else do we have to do before this deadline comes to an end so we can get everything that we need to, or at the very least the absolute minimum we need to in order to continue progressing forward so we can commit to a sprint.
So yeah, in terms of advantages and limitations, so obviously going back to, I added what Monty and Chris both said. So obviously Monty brought up that it can help some people that are remote feel more engaged. Alternatively, sometimes it can distract those remote people more. So obviously one's an advantage, one's a limitation. In terms of what people's work ethic may be different, yeah. So obviously potential limitations. So not always gonna connect in that sense.
Hmm.
Um, so that's what does that sort of go under? I guess that kind of goes under brainstorming sessions, um, in a sense. That seems like the more like open communication one, which is sort of what this is as well. Um, so in terms of sticking to a schedule, um, what do we? What are our
That
thoughts on
that
that?
limitation could be the schedule itself could also be overwhelming. Like there could be so much information on the schedule that it's just too much to look at for some people and too much for people to stick to.
I was gonna add a positive to that one, which is like schedule. Um, like it acts. I mean, I remember talking about this yesterday. Again with Dale, of the idea of having like reminders set. Like I know earlier in the year, like what I
Yeah.
would do is have, because I would use like Google Calendar. Like I'd get notifications pop up on the screen. It's like, oh yeah, do that. So
Maybe a way we could work around the schedule being overwhelming is only having like maybe a 3 week schedule or like
yeah,
a month schedule, just so you don't have like 2 months in advance of work and be like, okay. And what I think Chris added schedule acts as a deterrent to refusing to work. That also is a thing. Like if you have deadlines, you could be like, oh, that's due in like 2 weeks. I don't have to really focus on that. I can do my own thing for a bit and start procrastinating or something.
so yeah, okay. So schedule may be overwhelming. Could act as a reminder. Act as a deterrent to refusing work. Also increase productivity if they're delegated fairly. I think also that can tie into the like scheduling sprint periods.
Sprint periods.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think maybe having like designate rather than maybe a full schedule, having like like small parts of like
chopping them up into more
yeah,
bite-sized pieces.
yeah, and like doing like a weekly sprint of being like, okay, here's our schedule for the week. We're gonna get this done. Go.
So it's like a very kind of like almost traditional sense of like having like a roster at work in a way, where
Yeah.
like you get like
Yeah,
your roster every single week. Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say on the one understanding of life, expect unexpectedness. So, I mean, obviously, advantage is that for those who, like their external life sort of is, throwing shit at them. Like obviously, having people understand, you feel more heard, like listened to, so you feel more welcome, you feel safer. There's a stronger sense of trust. I suppose the one downside is that could also act as, and like I don't want to say that like as in like this would be taken maliciously, but it's like obviously if people then understand, it's like there's the risk that people might start to get a bit lax in terms of, like for example, if you're like, oh okay, if you need to take a couple of weeks off for this, then you do it. But there's like that the risk of that snowballing. So it's like, oh, this person now had a month off or 2 to 3 months off, and it's like, where does it stop? So suddenly there's like a disconnect there.
I think
Well, yeah.
one example that Dale gave with that I think in his team or someone at his work was told, yeah, take as much time as you need because of a medical condition, and they took like 3 months off,
Yeah,
and then they just didn't come back to work because got told, hey, take as much time as you need.
I would say like a way to counteract that is to always like not always stay in contact with that person like every day. Like, oh my gosh, like where are you? Are you okay? Blah 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 blah. I mean, like every other couple of days, just check in, see how they're feeling, see if they've like if there's been an improvement, if anything's kind of been like if it's gotten worse, if it's gotten better. Just so then that way you can kind of keep track as to what's going on with that person.
I I,
So then that way like they don't just slip through the cracks.
I know that I don't know what the laws are around this, but like I know that there's like like a grievement time. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's like 2 or 3 weeks or something, or like a month. I'm not entirely sure, but it's like whether there's something where it's like you get that period, and it's like, I mean, if you want to check in with someone, like by all means, it's more of like a casual thing. But then it's like after that sort of by the law timeline. So it's like after 3 weeks, it's
Mm.
like after that, it's like, okay, you can expect to hear from me now of like, hey, are you okay? Are you all good to come back? Because it's like, you've had your agreement time,
Hmm.
you can maybe give it like another week or so, and then it's like from there, you gotta start to think about coming back. So even distribution of tasks, manageable goals. Do we have anything on that under this last section here? I was gonna say
This
like
one of
obviously
this one?
uh no, so that was the more that one was understanding of life's unexpectedness. In terms, so the one before that, even distribution of tasks.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was thinking like obviously an advantage of that would be like everyone sort of feels like they're doing like an equal amount of work. Obviously, if the idea of it is like it's evenly distributed, it's like, oh, okay, we're all doing reasonably similar amounts of work, or the workloads are very similar. Um, I suppose the obvious disadvantage is then like how does that affect the overall team performance? Like, I would suspect probably isn't as much of an issue because it's like if we're all doing manageable tasks and completing them with relative ease and at a good pace, and then it's like the progress isn't so much of a worry, even if it's like the workload isn't as big as we could potentially do it. Because I think that's the key thing is that with the smart goals, with the sprints rather, is that you're setting smaller goals, yes, but then it's like the idea is you complete more and you get more done
You
that
complete
way.
more, and then if absolutely need be, you could even save like some of the bigger tasks for the sprint period.
Again, we've got a really nice amount of points here, so plenty to
Plenty to break down, plenty to dissect.
I
plenty
noticed
to
a lot
dissect. Yeah.
of these are limitations. There's not a lot of advantages I can see.
Any limitations to the personal? I keep saying personal development, professional development. Sorry. Obvious advantage people feel more invested in, but like any disadvantages, like I think one that I
May-
had was like people might take the time and not use it effectively, so it's like a waste of time.
Yeah, 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 that's what I was
I,
thinking. Because, like, let's say we have a scheduled personal development time, but maybe like one of somewhat. I'll just use myself as an example. Like, let's say we have a scheduled time for personal development, but I'm just not feeling up for it for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I was thinking like that with the scheduling and stuff, it could create better structure and routine for people.
yeah,
Yeah.
chuck that, or maybe under this one, schedule can act as a reminder for people. So just say that again, Stacey. Schedule structure or something.
Yeah, it can create like structure and routine for people. But the Lord knows some of us need it.
I have an advantage of. I could add just quickly to
Yeah, okay.
schedule. Continuity would be like it would ensure continuity having a schedule, being able to keep up with the project, being able to for everyone if we're not in a meeting, if we have a schedule and tasks in that schedule, um, keeping that updated could indicate or could show the progress of the um,
Yeah,
project itself, which will help people stay on track.
Do we leave these two kind of like yellow? Because they're kind of in the middle points.
Well, is this meant to be red or green as well? Schedule
This
is
is
sorry,
this is meant to be green.
green. Okay.
yeah, okay. So yeah, people's work ethics, prefer to work. Yeah, those are more like they're not sort of neither advantages nor limitations. It's more like a grey area.
Yeah, like a middle point.
Yeah,
Could be like, oh, we have a schedule and this thing's not meant to be done by this time. I can procrastinate a little bit there.
yeah. So it's like
But
if there's no like a schedule without how would we put it? Schedule without so how do you like incentivize like to avoid that procrastination?
Schedule without consistency or like with gaps.
Schedule without gaps would be a decent idea.
Schedule
Just so
without
then that way, like
gaps.
people don't really have
Yeah,
too much time to get stuck in their own head.
I suppose unless anybody's got any other points, because we've done really well, guys. It's been a really productive session. Yeah, I think if unless anybody's got any other points, I think they can add to really anything else. Like obviously, open it up to just if you've got any last thoughts about anything else here, then might just call this ideation session over.
with the workload, fair workload, if it's not
Uh,
fairly distributed, or you think it's fair and it turns out it's not, it could lead to burnout.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Workload may would you say is like may inadvertently lead to burnout? Like,
Yeah, if you think you've distributed it evenly and then you haven't, and then this person's just doing a lot of work and they think they can't redistribute the workload or ask
yeah,
for some help for it, they would get burnt out fairly quickly, which is a major issue.
Going off that too, people could have like um uh a lot of time constraints because of external stuff. So even though the workload may be even on paper, it doesn't feel even because
like
the person will have like one person can have the same workload
it's
as someone that can do like uh as a ridiculous example, 40 hours a week on the project, but then another person with the same essentially the same workload would only be able to do, say, 25.
yeah,
So, like,
like
even though it looks even on paper, it might not necessarily be even
it's a very subjective thing.
because of yeah.
Alrighty. Now, the next last call. Anybody with ideas, speak now or forever hold your peace.